Welcome, friends, to a new episode of Chess Analysis. This is round 4 of the Waukesha Chess Club Spring Swiss. I'm playing a gentleman by the name of Michael Lawrence, and I have not played Michael for over a decade, like 15 years since I've played him. It's been a very long time, and I was looking forward to this game. Also, if you enjoy this type of content, please like and share. It really helps me out. It shows me that you want to see more of this content, and I hope that it's helping you improve. Okay, let's get into the game. This is round 4, and I have my second white in a row. I had 2 blacks in a row for round 1 and 2, and I lost both of those games, and then I had 2 whites in a row. Okay, let's get into it. I played a English, and he played the symmetrical English, which I was not expecting, which is okay. I'm familiar with the lines, so I'm okay with that. And this was one of the most interesting games that I've played in a long time. I enjoyed this game a lot. A lot of times, the people like to, English players like to play C or D3 here, and then develop their knight to F3. I don't play that way. I play the Botvinnik system, which is E4, and I get this Maroczy bind, which is really nice. Oh, thanks for the follow. Very, very nice. Patch. I'm us prime. Patchamus prime. Okay, very good. Thanks for following. Thanks for watching. It's good to see some new people here. That's always nice. So he developed his knight to c6, which was preventing me from playing e5 and getting further into his camp. And I played knight g to e2, controlling the e4 square and preparing for a potential f4 push, which is nice. He developed normally, I castled, he castled, and I got d3. So this is the setup that I usually like to get. These pawns like this, it's really nice. The one downside to the Botvinnik English is that you have this hole on d4. It's okay though. I don't mind it, even though you have this pressure coming in here. We always can take that knight. Now, a lot of times they don't really know what to do and they'll push e5, and that's fine. I can then push f4 and kind of go from there. So I like this particular setup. It works really well. I understand the ideas, and anytime that they want to bring a piece in here, we can take it and put a pawn. He'll put a pawn there, and then that kind of stifles the bishop. I'm okay with all of that. So these typically are better structures for white, at least in this particular setup. So I stopped anything coming to the g4 square by playing h3. This is a common prophylactic move. Really just kind of controlling more squares in my camp and stopping any types of pins here. We don't want any of that happening, so we have the freedom to move this knight whenever we want. Redeemed. All right, nice. Getting some pawns. Give me your pawns. We are all nasty little pawn grubbers here, which is so nice. So he played queen to c7, which is not a very good move. I even asked him afterwards. I had a really good post-mortem with him afterwards as well. And he mentioned to me at this point he wasn't really sure what to do and didn't really have a plan. He just figured it was a good idea to get the queen developed so he could connect the rooks, and that was the free square. So he put the queen there. I did mention to him that a lot of the plans are centered around this and creating this battery, yep, right on the pawn here. So it kind of forces my king off the square. And this is a pretty typical idea. And then the other idea is either knight here or here, and then pushing f5. That is a lot of the King's Indian symmetrical English types of plans. And he is familiar with some of those plans, but he was really not quite sure how to proceed. So one of the things and ideas that he had, which you'll see as we move forward, is that he wants to expand on the queen side and start attacking where he has a little bit more space. But he doesn't really have a lot of space. That's the really nice thing about playing the English, is that I can play on all sides of the board and in the center, and it's difficult for black to come up with a plan to attack me. It's kind of a defensive wall type of position where I get to dictate when things push forward and when they move forward, and I get to dictate all the pawn breaks. And if they try to come at me with pawn breaks, I just let them happen because I'm going to continue with my plans. And my plans are to expand on the king side, typically. So one of the plans against a fianchettoed King's Indian defense setup is to go after this bishop with this type of maneuver, and then trading on h6 or g7, doesn't really matter. So he's continuing his plan to get his rooks and start pushing all of his pieces. I'm continuing with my plan to be able to trade off the dark squared bishop and free up his king and add this space. And he gets his plan in. But as you can see, it doesn't really matter much. I kind of want this plan. I'm allowing him to do that. If he wants to take here, great. I'm going to just take. He goes here. We're going to do a new variation. I'm just going to take here, and we're still controlling the center. Yeah, we have a hole here, but it doesn't really matter. If he brings the knight here, I'm going to take it and then win the pawn. So we're good. I like this. This is okay for me. He didn't do that. He wanted to really deal with trying to take here, but he can't because I have this pawn protecting these pawns. And this backwards pawn, which a lot of times you might think is a positional weakness, is a really great defensive move. There's only really one weakness in my camp, and it's that one. And it's really not even a weakness. It's just a square they can move a piece, but it's really not even good for them to move a piece there. Now, if he decided to play here and then put a knight there, maybe it's probably even. Doesn't really matter one way or another, but it would solve a lot of his problems, I think. So I moved queen to b2. And if anybody's watching, or if you're watching this video back, please pause the video and try to figure out what my my next move is. Now, you don't see it in here, but you can see the defensive move for it. And you can use that to decide and try to figure out what my move is going to be. It's a tactical move. And if you're watching this live, please go ahead and see if you can find the move. Any ideas? So let's say he plays some random move, and he plays here, new variation. We're going to play right here. He can't take because the queen is pinning that. And then we get this fork on these pieces. A beautiful tactical shot, which is rather amazing. But he was smart, and he saw it, so he moved his king back. And I played it anyways because I thought that this would be good for me. So now what I've essentially done is I created the structure where all of my pawns are just crushing, and I have his huge major pieces all stuck to that side of the board, and they have no way of getting to the king side. Meanwhile, all of my pieces, no, can easily get to the king side and start attacks very quickly. So positionally, I feel like we're in a really good spot. And I felt like I calculated this game really well. The only move that I didn't really see coming, which to me wasn't really that big of a deal, was this one. I thought it was easy to solve. He decided to move here. I thought that he might push here. New variation. I thought, okay, well, that's fine. I had a move here. I was going to let him get this pawn, and then I was going to come in here with this attack. And I'm not exactly sure how well he's going to deal with this, because he would either have to come back with the bishop or come back with the knight. And it doesn't matter which one he did. If he comes back here, we're just going to attack it. And yeah, this is getting difficult for him very quickly. He didn't play that, though. He played that, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to attack the bishop. We're going to kick that back, and I'm going to bring my knight back because I want to play f5 or f4 and kick his knight. His knight has nowhere to go. He's out of squares. So he made a square by playing f5. He saw that, and I played it anyways. Because now I've created, there's this weakness here. This f5, this e7 pawn is a target. I'm going to lock down the position. He can't move his knight anywhere. It's lost. It's got 2 squares. Look at this miserable knight. It can't do anything. Look at this bishop. It's completely stuck. It can't. It's got 2 moves. Nowhere to go. These rooks are out of the game. Even if he trades here, I can just trade back and I still have these wonderful pawns. So he played e5, and this was the most surprising move to me. I was not expecting this move whatsoever. He did solve his problem of the backwards e pawn. What he's trying to do is gain space and get lines open for his pieces to be able to come over. And it makes sense. He's just trying to alleviate the pressure, because if you look at this position and you look at it from Black's point of view, what do you do? This looks just scary. I mean, not scary as from an attack, but like I really would struggle trying to find moves here for Black. He's really cramped and stuck. He's got to blow something open. So e5 seems to be like a good idea. So I decided to open up my bishop. Now I've got even more control in the game. He takes. I want to bring my knight here. I'm prompting him to lock down the position further, because my bishop is going to be very active even though I have all these pawns on white squares. It's going to become active when I get it to right here. And the idea is the next following moves like this. And he is positionally just dominated. This knight's pinned. He's just completely stuck. And I'm going to get my... Now I've got my queen coming in. I'm going to gain control of this particular file. And I saw this move, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, now we have a really awesome checkmating sequence. And I calculated that from back here. I think it was almost forced. I don't know how he can stop it. I think he has to get his queen to here. He has to get a rook here and then his queen here to stop me from doing anything. But he didn't see it, because I saw these things. And this next checkmate sequence is really pretty awesome. I'm pretty proud of this. So my rook here is just very, very difficult to deal with. He made a move, and I took here. So now any move he makes, it's going to be checkmate. It's really, really tough. He can't take... takes here, and checkmate. He has to do something. I'm not sure what he could do, but if he doesn't take, I'm just going to move it, and actually I'm just going to move back here, and I'm going to win his rook. Whoops. So yeah, it's so tough. Not that way, but this way. It's really, really difficult to deal with. I don't know that there's a way to get rid of it. But yeah, that was one of my strongest games I think I've played in a while. And I felt really good with that checkmating sequence. It's always nice to get a checkmate on the board. Can't complain about that. But yeah, Mike played a really good game. And he did admit to me that he doesn't have a lot of time for study right now. He's been really busy with work. And being an adult approver, it's really hard. So... but yeah, this was an overall a pretty good game. I think he still had a decent game here, but he did admit to me that he was struggling trying to find plans, and it was he didn't know how to really deal with my pawn being here, covering all these squares. So that was ultimately what probably ended up losing the game. But yeah, overall a really great game from Mike, and that led me to complete that particular event at 2-2. So if we do a player search, hang on 1 second. We're going to move this over here. And let's do a full screen. And let's do a player rating lookup. We're going to look up Nicholas Sloan. That's me. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm not hiding anything here. You guys can see all of it. Let's take a look at my my actual page. So if we go to my tournament history, I got 7 points from the Hales Corners, and then I got 8 points from the Spring Swiss. So yeah, we're on our way to our peak. So if we go back here and go to general and take a look at our history graph, our top, it's probably tough to read, but it's 1530. That's the highest peak I've had, which was back in 2007, right January in 2007. So we are very close to reaching our peak. And if we go back to our tournament history and look, we can look at what date that was. Yeah, March 7th, it posted as 1530, 2007. So, yeah. But yeah, this is really cool. We have a full event log of everything that I've been working on and how I've been doing. And this was me coming back to chess. I dropped down to 1344 after coming back. We were at 14 something. 1492 is where we were. Is that it? No. Where were we at? 2022. Looks like we were at 1446 and we dropped down to 1344. Yeah. And then I had a really great tournament here. I gained 150 points. And we've been slowly rising. So as you can see, we haven't really lost too much. I had some tournaments where I lost maybe 1 point, 2 points or whatever. And then we kind of continued on.